Hello, my babies. Before we get into episode 23 of Cady's Corner, got to remind you about our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah, we talked about it last week. Got to talk about it again this week because the show still goes on with what they are looking to do for you. That's right. You can get ready for football this weekend with the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Because to celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is still giving new customers a can't miss offer. If you bet just $5 on any football game, you get $200 in free bets instantly. That's right. $200 in free bets instantly if you just bet $5 on any football game. Also, hey, if you get up 7, you win. That's right. Bet on any NFL team of your choice. If your team leads by 7 or more points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly on your bet, even if the team ultimately loses the game. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code 518 to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code 518 only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and physically present in New York. Bonus issued as free bets. One early win token issued at opt-in. Moneyline bets only. Deposit and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Which brings us to the beginning of the show. Welcome to episode 23 of Cady's Corner, presented by Gazelle Media and sponsored by our good friends over at DraftKings, as well as Mohawk Honda and Johnstone Supply, who we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show. As far as things are concerned, let's just jump right into the playoff race. Let's look at these standings, starting like we always have in the senior circuit, the National League, going east to west. Mets, 89 and 55, a half game ahead of Atlanta. With one game in hand, they're 88 and 55. Phillies are 8 back at 80 and 62. Marlins and Nationals officially mathematically eliminated from any potential playoff contention. Cardinals in the Central, 84 and 59. They're 8 clear of the Brewers and 23 clear of the Cubs, who are somehow not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet. Meanwhile, the Reds and Pirates, they are done. And then the Dodgers officially have clinched a playoff spot over the last week. They're 98 and 44. Haven't clinched the division yet, but could happen over the weekend as they're 20 and a half clear of the Padres. And then everyone else, we just don't even need to mention them at all. As far as the wild card is concerned in the National League, here's how things look there. Atlanta still 10 clear of Philly for the number one wild card spot. Philly sits in the second wild card spot. They're 2.5 clear of the third wild card, San Diego. And then behind San Diego, Milwaukee is 2 back, and the Giants are 9 back. And then everyone else, not really worth mentioning. So it's pretty much a 4-team race at this point for the, well, honestly, scratch that. It's a 3-team race for 2 spots. So you can give Atlanta the first wild card. They're not going to relinquish that spot. So you can basically bring it down to Philly, San Diego, Milwaukee fighting over the last 2 NL wild card spots, and that's where we're at. As far as the American League is concerned, starting in the East, the New York Yankees, 87 and 56, second best record in the American League, 6 back of Houston for that. They are 6 ahead of Toronto in the East. And then the Rays are 7.5 back, Baltimore 11.5 back, and then Boston 18 back, and then last. The Central, Cleveland, starting to establish they are the team in the Central, slowly but surely. They're 76 and 65 now, 4 clear of the White Sox, 5 clear of the Twins. And then the Royals and Tigers round out things. Tigers, the only team technically mathematically eliminated from that division for any playoff contention. In the West, Houston, 93 and 50, best record in the American League. They're 12.5 clear of Seattle, who just continues to grind out the season and put themselves in prime contention to beat a wild card team. And then the Rangers, obviously, Angels, and then the Athletics. Oakland is the only team right now mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Obviously, the Angels and Rangers, and then the Royals and the Central aren't going to be too far behind them. Looking at the wild card, as I just mentioned, Toronto, in the number one spot, but only a half game clear of the Mariners. And then Tampa is a game behind Seattle. So only a game and a half separating the three current wildcard teams, while Baltimore sits 4 back of Tampa Bay on the outside looking in. Chicago 6.5, Minnesota 7.5 back. So as of right now, things are pretty much figured out in the National League as far as the division winners. Let's just be blunt about that. Because I highly doubt Milwaukee makes up 8 games on the Cardinals. Everybody knows the National League East is pretty much a 2-team race between the Mets and Braves at this point going down the stretch. And then whoever doesn't win the East between the Mets and Braves, you can pretty much lock into that first wild card spot. So really the only point of contention worth watching for the National League is who fills out the second and third wild card spots between Philly, San Diego, Milwaukee. The American League, obviously the West is wrapped up with the Astros. The East, as long as the Yankees don't completely bottom out, okay, which would mean playing even worse than they did in August, okay, just to be clear as to what I mean by bottoming out. If they could somehow play even worse than they did in the month of August, coming down the last 2.5 weeks of the season coming up, almost 3 full weeks, then they obviously have the East in that regard. The Central, while Cleveland has slowly kind of sort of grinded their way into the prime position of walking away with that division, it's only a 4-game lead still. So I'm not going to say the Central is locked up by Cleveland yet. But there's definitely more questions to be answered in that division than, say, the East or the West. But you kind of want to just give that division to Cleveland in a way. And then obviously the wild card race, the 3 current wild cards all within a game and a half of each other, and Baltimore is 4 back of that crew. And Chicago 6.5. So because those teams that are in that wild card race have tended to be a little streaky at times, there's always an opportunity for Baltimore or Chicago or even Minnesota to sneak their way in if they get hot over these next 3 weeks. But again, it's all wait and see at that point. Yes, before we get into the Boston Red Sox and start looking ahead to things with them. That's right, looking ahead. We got to talk about our friends over at Mohawk Honda. That's right. Mohawk Honda, you can feel it in the air. You see everybody talk about the pumpkin spice lattes and the pumpkin muffins. The foliage is going to start turning if it hasn't started turning already outside. The mornings are a little, they have a little more of a crisp to them. It's a little. How should I put it? It feels like fall in the air. Let's just put it that way. And because of that, that's right. The seasons may change, but one constant is the buying experience over at Mohawk Honda, where you're greeted with a smile and treated with respect, and they always are putting your wishes and your budget before anything else that they might do with you. The new vehicle inventory, by the way, is ramping up with pilots, passports, and Ridgelines coming on site. And remember, this is also still the best time ever to sell your vehicle, as Mohawk Honda buys cars and in some cases may be able to sell it to you for more than you paid for it. Going all the way back to the Kelly Blue Instant Cash offers they had months ago, still doing it today. It's just another advantage you get from the number one volume dealer in the capital region. General Manager Greg Johnson and his team of sales consultants are always available to help you in the buying experience. And they got big news. Scott Moynihan, for those of you familiar with the car industry here in the Capital District, he's back at Mohawk Honda and bringing his 30-plus years of automotive experience with him. So while you come in and talk about possibly selling a used vehicle or buying a new or certified pre-owned used vehicle, stop in and welcome Scott to the team. Welcome him back to Mohawk Honda and say hi and wish him luck going forward. Yes, the season's changed, but at Mohawk Honda, Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, Glenville, nothing changed about them because they're always going out of their way to please you. That being said, let's switch over to the Boston Red Sox. Starting to look ahead for 2023. Let's be honest here, 69-74. It's not happening. Let's just put that out there. So the way we're going to start looking ahead for them is we're going to take a look at these contracts. So are here are the players coming off the books after this year. Obviously, a couple of them have been widely talked about, but we'll just give the whole list right here. So, coming off the books after this season, JD Martinez. He's 34 right now. He's just coming off a 5 year, basically $110 million deal. Nathan Eovaldi. Kike Hernandez, who you acquired in free agency on a 2 year deal after the 2020 season. Devers has his last year of arbitration this winter, going into 2023, and then becomes a free agent after the 23 season. Waka, Jurice Familia, Rich Hill, Matt Strom, Kevin Plawecki, and that's really it as far as the notable names that are going to be free agents. They still have Chris Sale in the books for at least 2 more years, for 23 and 24, and then looks like there's a vesting option in 25. Hosmer is still on the books, although at a discount for the last 3 years of his deal from 23 through 25. He's only getting paid $13 million a year. Story obviously still in the books through 27 with a 2028 team option. Bogart's still in the books for 3 more years with a 26 option. Although he apparently, from what I remember during early in the season, there is the option for Bogarts to opt out if he wants to, as he is age 29 and whatever. We talk about JD and Eovaldi. Whitlock, his contract is so weird. He's still on a rookie deal. That's why, because he's only been the majors for 2 years. So his deal is going to ramp up gradually over the next few years. But he is locked up all the way through 2028 if you want to include the team options for 27 and 28. Matt Barnes is locked up for next year, plus has a team option for 24. Devers is arbitration eligible this year. So obviously the big things you need to look at, there's a couple things here. Number one, pitching, obviously a big story here. Because you're losing Eovaldi, you're losing Waka, you're losing Familia, although who's really going to complain about Familia? You're losing Rich Hill, losing Matt Strom. So obviously pitching is going to be the main focus of free agency when it comes to the Boston Red Sox for 2020, the 2023 season. Let's just take a look and see what we can find about the upcoming free agent class. So obviously, Aaron Judge is the big one, but you don't really need an outfielder right now. I mean, would you be willing to take Aaron Judge and really stick to the Yankees? Of course, but he's not going to do it. Let's just look at the pitching for the time being. So pitching right now, you would be looking at, for starters, Carlos Rodon can opt out of his deal with San Francisco if he wants to. Obviously, he was a potential trade piece being mentioned during the deadline. So there's that. There's a club option on Aaron Nola. My assumption the Phillies will take that, so I wouldn't even consider Nola as an option. DeGrom can opt out as well. So there's that. Adam Wainwright, he's 41. How much is really left in the tank? Does he even want to pitch beyond this year? There's a lot of talk. This is it for him. I'm pretty sure he's going to hang it up. Chris Bassett, potential free agent. Clayton Kershaw is a potential free agent. Verlander has a player option. My guess is he picks it up. Sonny Gray has a club option. I believe that's Minnesota, if I remember correctly, is where he is. Otherwise, there's Kyle Gibson, Sean Manaea, Corey Kluber, Martin Perez, Jameson Taillon, the Yankee, Wade Miley, Jose Quintana. Taijuan Walker is a player option with the Mets. What else? Zach Greinke, but he's 38. Syndergaard's a free agent. He's still 30. So he's not terribly old yet. It just feels like he's old because it feels like he's been around forever. Jordan Lyles is a club option. Andrew Heaney, Trevor Williams from the Mets. There's a club option on Severino. Also, don't forget Chris Sale can opt out of his contract if he wants to. although that would be kind of stupid on his part to be real. Club option on Dylan Bundy. Clevenger is a free agent. That's really it as far as notable starters. Relievers: Edwin Diaz, free agent. Craig Kimbrell, Kenley Jansen, Taylor Rogers, Chad Green, Michael Fulmer, Rafael Montero, Adam Ottavino, though he's 37, but he's still dealing. Whistler, David Phelps, 35, though. I don't know. Seth Lugo, Matt Moore, Matt Strom, like I mentioned earlier. David Robertson's 38. God, wow, that doesn't seem possible. That's really it. Corey Knebel, if you really want to go have that adventure. Steve Cishek, but he's 37. Alex Colomé, Trevor May, Brad Hand, Aldis Chapman. Just throw that out there if you want that roller coaster ride. Robert Gesellman. And that's really all Tommy Canely, the local product. So obviously there's a lot of options out there for the Red Sox if they want to go and take advantage of it. Let's just put it out there. From the Red Sox, Noah Syndergaard doesn't sound like a half bad option. Especially, let's just assume Chris Sale does not opt out and just because he's never going to be paid what his contract is going to be paying him the next 2 years. If he tests the free agent market, he's never going to come close to the $27.5 million he's going to be getting each of the next 2 years. So Chris Sale opting out, let's just assume that's a non-negotiable. That's not happening. Let's just roll with that. Number one. Syndergaard wouldn't be a bad option. Let's just put that out there. Syndergaard would not be a bad option. If you can find a way to have Tyone leave the pinstripes behind and come to Boston, I don't think that's a bad option either. Because at this point, you need guys who can eat innings. You don't just need guys that are productive. You need guys that also can eat innings. Tyone can eat innings. That's plain and simple what can happen. I mean, you don't have to do too much to the bullpen. I mean, obviously the big question becomes Bogarts and Devers. What happens there? Those are your big questions. And how do you figure out the deal with JD Martinez? Is he coming back? Does he want to come back? Does he want to play baseball, period? He is 34. Are you willing to spend the kind of money I would assume him and Scott Boras are going to want to negotiate for on just a DH? Let's just face it, JD Martinez is a full-time DH at this point. He's basically their new David Ortiz. Even though David would do spot starts on a rare occasion at first base, he's pretty much a full-time DH at this point. Do you really want to spend the kind of money that Scott Boras is going to try negotiating for him as a full-time DH? Just honesty. Just being honest there. It's a tricky situation. Very tricky situation. But obviously, you got to get through the last 3 weeks of the season. As coming up for Boston, you're off today as we tape this Thursday, September 15th. Then you host the Royals for 3. You have Monday off, and then you go to Cincinnati for a quick 2-game series. So you're facing your next 5 games are against, teams are just trying to ruin other teams' seasons. So not like you're playing high-quality opponents next week. So good on you for that one. Before we get into the Mets and Yankees, just want to talk to you real quick about John Stone Supply in Troy. That's right, John Stone Supply in Troy. They, my friends, they get it. They get it. Things are changing. Weather is changing. And that means you need to start thinking about the heat. That's right. You need to start thinking about your heating system in your household as the temperatures start getting colder, so you're not left out in the cold when the temperatures really dip down after Halloween and heading into Christmas and the rest of winter. You will make sure things are good and proper and set up A-OK in that household with your heating system. So you want to talk to our friends over at John Stone Supply in Troy. They have all the good brands in stock and at great prices like Goodman, Fujitsu, and Westinghouse. If you need someone to help you install a brand new system altogether, John Stone Supply in Troy, they are your guys. Go talk to George. Great dude. always friends of Godzilla Media, good friends with Tom Gaz. Go and talk to him, or go talk to Kev, talk to James, talk to Bird. They will help out making sure that everything is copacetic. That's your $5 word of the day with your home heating system. Tell you what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, or if you just flat out need a whole new system altogether. So make sure you're not let down in the cold and you're able to stay warm all winter long by giving a call to our friends who are at Johnstone Supply in Troy, 518-272-5922, or go visit them at their brick and mortar store, 2600 6th Avenue in Troy. Make sure you're not left out in the cold this fall and winter by calling 518-272-5922, visiting Johnstone Supply in Troy at 2600 6th Avenue, or check them out online, johnstonsupply.com. Now we move on to the New York Mets. I believe they learned a harsh lesson this week. You can't afford to have your bats go cold when Jacob deGrom starts. Plain and simple. You cannot let that happen. Plain and simple. It cannot happen. Because then you're going to lose low-scoring games like you did the other day, which I believe was like 4-0, 4-1, something stupid like that. Because on the off chance deGrom has a bad day, you need to be there for him. Plain and simple. Let me just try to pull up the result real quick from that game. I believe it was Tuesday, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they lost 4-1. They got swept by the Cubs at home. What are you doing? It wasn't even like the starting pitcher was that atrocious. You lost by scores of 5-2, 4-1, and 6-3. You lost to Drew Smiley. Who loses to Drew Smiley? Come on. You gotta be better than that. You gotta be better than that. Now you're in a weird position where you were starting to create a little bit of space here between you and the Braves, and now because you lose 3 straight to the Cubs, Atlanta's right there, a half game behind all over again. What did we talk about the last couple weeks? This was the opportunity, the time of the year where you could establish yourself as the team in the East because you have one of the easiest schedules remaining, and the Braves do not. The Braves have like a middle of the road schedule. You have like the 6th easiest schedule left. And what do? Good. You win 2 out of 3 in Miami. That's what I'm talking about. Would a sweep have been better? Yeah, but 2 out of 3, we'll take that. But then you come home and lose 3 straight to the Cubs? The Cubs! Not even the Brewers or the Cardinals, the Cubs! Now you got 4 at home against Pittsburgh starting tonight. Then you go to Milwaukee next Monday through Wednesday. If you don't win at least 5 out of these next 7 games, I don't know what to do for you. I don't know. I don't know what to do for you. I'm utterly speechless at this point that the Mets, God, I have nothing. I literally have nothing. I'm beyond words at this point to try and explain what in God's name has happened. In the meantime, let me give you updates on the injury front for the New York Metropolitans. Scherzer, who's trying to return from the IL as early as Monday when the team is in Milwaukee, did have a rehab start yesterday for AAA. Syracuse allowed 1 run in 3 2/3, striking out 7, walking 1, and threw 59 pitches. So the discussion is, as long as he has no lingering issues over the next few days from his sore left oblique, he should be good to go and re-enter the rotation at some point during the Milwaukee series next week, which is great. Drew Smith began a rehab assignment over the weekend in Double-A Binghamton. Is scheduled to make back-to-back appearances tomorrow and Saturday, the 16th and 17th, after which the Mets will consider activating him from the IL, which he's been on since late July with a strained right lat. Starling Marte, with that non-displaced fracture of his right middle finger, The talk is they're hoping he'll be on the IL for just the minimum 10 days. But it's all going to depend on A, how quickly the swelling goes down, B, the pain management that Marte has. Can he, can he deal with the pain basically? So we'll have to wait and see on that. No rehab plan for that. And that's really it. Steven Nogasek, the reliever, began a rehab assignment a couple weeks ago. Has now pitched multiple times for AAA. Syracuse injury is minor, left oblique strain, by the way. They're hoping he can get to the majors at some point this month, but he could also move back to Syracuse. There's no room on the big league club once he is healthy. Beatty, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if there's going to be any room for him at this point to come back if everybody else is healthy. Tyler Mcgill, though, had been dominant in rehab until he gave up 5 runs over 2/3 of an inning. Yikes! The other day, for AAA Syracuse. Mets officials were considering activating him after that start, but had decided instead to pencil him in for another rehab outing tomorrow, Friday the 16th, which is slated to be a multi-inning affair for Mcgill, who's been in the IL since June 17th with his right shoulder strain. And as long as he's okay from there, Mcgill will come back as a reliever. Joey Lucchesi, his next appearance in Binghamton will be tomorrow, also the 16th. And again, looks like as long as everything is still going well, he could be back on the Major League club any day now after that as a bullpen arm, which is terrific. So more help is on the way, which is a good sign. But at the same time, you just prove it to me. Prove it to me. Just get it done. Lock things up. That's what I got to say to that. Finally, to look at the New York Yankees. Before we get into their injuries, let's just discuss a few things. Number one, Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run on last Saturday. That was his first home run in 18 games. I'll leave it at that. Number two, and I said this on Twitter when I was watching the game on Tuesday night from Fenway. If you're going to bury someone for messing up in some shape, way, or form, if you're easily able to do that and criticize them on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, you better also be just as quick and willing to give them their flowers when they earn them. Because we jumped on Aaron Hicks for that. I don't even know how to explain that play from over the weekend at home. That was. I got nothing. I can't. I literally have no words to explain what the hell Aaron Hicks was doing on that play over the weekend in the left field corner of the stadium. I've got nothing. It was a harebrain. That's about the best phrase or word I can think of is harebrain. That was just an awful looking scene for him when that happened. But so everybody pounced on him for that. Everybody was like, "Oh, screw this guy, blah 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 blah. What's he doing out there? He shouldn't be on the team. Why didn't we get rid of him at the deadline? Blah 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 blah." Everybody wanted to jump on him because remember, what was it? The Twins, I think they played over the weekend. Yeah, no, Tampa. Excuse me. It was the Friday's loss to Tampa. That's what it was. Which, by the way, the Yankees would turn around, win the last 2 games of that series to take the series, and then obviously they took 2 at Fenway the last 2 nights. But that's a side point. So everybody jumped on Aaron Hicks for messing that up on Friday. Where's the praise for him working a huge walk to start the top of the 10th on Tuesday night, which ultimately led to a 3-run inning, 4-run inning, something like that. which was big time. A 3-run inning. Thank you very much. I just saw it. Are we going to give the flowers to Aaron Hicks for leading off that inning with a big time walk? The top of the 10th that really set the table for the Yankees to have that 3-run top of the 10th and then get lucky in the bottom half to walk out with a 7-6 win. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because everybody that's a Yankee fan seems willing to jump on Aaron Hicks when he messes up, but we're not going to give him his flowers when he comes up in a big time moment, such as extra innings in Fenway Park, when you know you need to lock up that division ASAP before things fall apart again potentially, and he clutches up, forces a walk to lead off the inning against Sharice Familia, and then Familia just kind of falls apart from there, which leads me to the next thing I want to bring up. Glenbard Torrez is finding his swing at the right time, folks. He is finding his stride, and thank God, because the Yankees could use him. He has that Little League home run last night, plus he clutches up with an insurance run in the top of the ninth. He has that bases clearing double in the top of the 10th that gave the Yankees the 3-run lead going into the bottom of the 10th. Gleyber has been putting in much better swings the last couple weeks, and that is a terrific sign for a Yankees team that needs somebody behind Aaron Judge. I can't stress that enough. Stanton needs to be a good insurance policy for Judge, and Gleyber, it seems like, is also helping provide that as well. Thank the good Lord, because man oh lamb, man alive. I mean, if we find ourselves in a situation where the Yankees are going into the postseason with only Aaron Judge being the real offense on this team, that's a problem. And that's really the one main thing the Yankees have to figure out over the next 3 weeks, wrapping up the regular season. They need to figure out what the lineup construction will look like behind Aaron Judge, who can be depended to be the security blanket behind him, and who cannot be trusted. Is it Stanton? Is it Gleyber? As much as I don't want to say this name, is it Donaldson? Is it Rizzo when he comes back from injury? And another guy that's getting better swings, by the way, because he's gotten the opportunity to start more recently because of injuries with Benintendi and the such. Marwin Gonzalez. Don't sleep on Marwin Gonzalez, because he's an established major leaguer who's put in the work in the past. So let's start giving Marwin Gonzalez his flowers as well, because he's starting to produce at a rate like he had before when he was with the Houston Astros winning the World Series. Regardless of what you may think about the Astros winning the World Series, Marwin Gonzalez was not one of those guys that was being criticized because he was playing ball the real way. Like, let me just scroll down here to Marwin Gonzalez. Okay. Now, obviously, if you look at his season-long stats, his 190, 267, 329, 596 slashes don't look good. But you look at his game logs from since the Benintendi injury, we'll say. So basically the month of September, because he's been a regular starter for the Yankees throughout the month of September since Benintendi went down. Here's what we're looking at. Month of September, trying to find out what I think. No. So, month of September, even if you just look at the month of September, the numbers aren't great. But if you look at the at-bats, that's the thing. Numbers will tell you one story, but visuals help you out. Okay? So the numbers aren't going to look great. You're going to think, Brian, he's batting a .143. But his OPS is 607. His on-base percentage is 250. So yeah, he's not smacking the ball around all over the place, but he's still getting on base 25% of the time, which that's at least once a game he's getting on base. Which for a number 5 outfielder, if my number 5 outfielder on my team can get on base at least once a game to give anyone batting behind him, which has typically been what? Judge if he's leading off. Uh, let's be hypothetical here. LeMahieu. Um, who was leading off the other night? Bear with me. I remember who was leading off the other night. Yeah, Judge was leading off the other night. Who was leading off last night? Pretty sure it wasn't. Oh, it was Judge again. I mean, if it was, I don't know, Cabrera, Hicks, I mean, Trevino was batting behind Gonzalez last night. If you can get on base at least one time a game and give somebody behind you a chance to drive in a run, I'll take that. I will take that. And that's what Gonzalez does. The offense, the actual hitting numbers may not be pretty, but the fact that he can get on base for you at least once a game and give you that opportunity to score a run, that's huge. That's huge to me. Absolutely huge. Yankees, by the way, a cush schedule. They were off Monday. They're off today. Then they're off next Monday as well, which is lovely. Yankees 3 in Milwaukee this weekend, and then a short 2-game home series against the Pirates on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. As far as the injuries are concerned, Aroldis Chapman set to return for the Milwaukee series starting tomorrow on Friday. I don't know if that scares me. I don't know if that makes me happy. I gotta think about it. Obviously, people are going to talk about, is he going to be this closer or is Clay Holmes going to keep it? Let Aaron Boone worry about that. All right. Trevino, we said, is already back. Anthony Rizzo could be back as soon as this weekend. My guess, they'll hold off and just bring him back when they get back to New York for Pittsburgh Tuesday and Wednesday. Scott Efros, right shoulder strain. Tossed the bullpen at Fenway back on Tuesday. Hoping to face hitters in live batting practice tomorrow in Milwaukee. After that, they're talking about putting him in a minor league rehab game sometime over the weekend, and then possibly bring him back when they get back to New York for the Pittsburgh series. Matt Carpenter, X-rays taken in early September showed healing in the foot. Not enough yet, though, to remove the walking boot that he's been using. He should be undergoing more imaging in the very near future, hopefully sometime this weekend or early next week, as far as trying to get him back. DJ LeMahieu, his toe inflammation. Let's talk about him resuming hitting drills sometime during the weekend in Milwaukee. But the hope is that he can return at some point during the homestand next week. Benintendi, I'm not holding out hope that he returns this season, but if he does, great. Albert Abreu has allowed 7 runs over 6 and a third during. Oh, excuse me, that was before he got on the IL. No real update on Abreu, unfortunately. I might try to look that up myself, actually, see if there is anything. Albert Abreu. You gotta love Google and the ability to look things up in the midst of trying to record a podcast. Yeah, nothing on Abreu the last few weeks, which isn't necessarily a good thing, by the way. Harrison Bader did play in Somerset last night, by the way. Albert Abreu pitched a bullpen session Tuesday in Bridgewater. There we go. We did find something. I'm gonna try to go down to it real quick. Looks like he's close to returning to in-game action. So my guess is Abreu might be up during the homestand. Zach Britton. He was scheduled to pitch relief for AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre yesterday after pitching a scoreless inning at Somerset on Sunday. Aaron Boone says he's still not sure if Britton will return this season. That's unfortunate. Miguel Castro was scheduled to make an appearance in Double A yesterday. Last time he pitched in the big leagues was July 10th before his right shoulder strain. And then Bader, like I mentioned, had a nice, I think he had a home run actually too. Did make a rehab appearance in Somerset last night. Looks like he'll be back sometime during the homestand next week. And then Severino, he's going to make one more rehab start before activating him. And looks like he'll be pitching one of the games in the 2-game series against Pittsburgh. So that's that. Lastly, before we wrap things up, I feel like I need to touch on Aaron Judge real quick again. Not for any specific reason. I just want to give you a few stats. Number one, Eric Boland from Newsday, Yankees beat writer, last night after the game against the Red Sox. Aaron Judge has reached base safely in each of his last 15 games, going 24 for 52 with 8 homers, 14 ribbies, 15 walks, and scoring 15 runs. Need more? Okay, sure. Aaron Judge hit home runs 56 and 57 in game 142 back on Tuesday night. Only 4 other seasons in Major League history have we seen players hit more home runs. Well, 3 actually. But only 4 times have we seen a player have more than 57 home runs after 142 games. Barry Bonds in 01, Sosa in 98 and 99, and McGuire in 98. All 4 steroid seasons for those players. Just to put in perspective. And last thing to put in perspective, 57, if the season stopped right now, 57 home runs would tie Aaron Judge with the most home runs by an American League player since Roger Maris's 61 and 61. And that other player that hit 57, A-Rod in 2002 for the Texas Rangers. Which, again, some people think was a steroid season for Mr. Rodriguez. So, as if you need more historical perspective into what Aaron Judge is doing and why I think he should be the American League MVP over Shohei Ohtani, which I think is still ridiculous to even argue, there you go. Just a few more stats to wrap things up, which wraps up Cady's Corner for this week. Wow, this episode went longer than I expected. We went almost 45 minutes. Thank you for tuning in to episode 23 of Cady's Corner. Sponsored by our friends over at Mohawk Honda, Johnstone Supply, and DraftKings, and presented by Godzilla Media. My Twitter handle at Brian Cady, BrianCady. Any long-form comments, questions, concerns, brian.cady at GodzillaMedia.com. Enjoy the changing temperatures, because I know I am personally. I love it when it gets a little cooler, a little more crisp out there. I love it. I personally love it. So enjoy that. If you have any kids out there enjoying Friday Night Lights, enjoy the high school football season this weekend and enjoy some baseball. We'll catch you again next week with episode 24 of Cady's Corner.